Let's bring in Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert to weigh in. Notice the Colorado Congresswoman part of that intro. Congresswoman, tell us what you think happened at the Supreme Court. Your district court or lower court ruled against this idea. Supreme Court overturned it. Tell us, what's your message to your own Supreme Court?
Well, I'm very, very much ashamed of our liberal Supreme Court here in Colorado. The decision to remove President Trump from the primary ballot in Colorado is a complete slap in the face to our constitutional republic. The party who says that they are there to protect democracy are undermining voters and voters' confidence in our elections. This is election interference to its fullest and nothing but an act of fear from the left. They are terrified to have President Trump on the ballot because they know that he is going to win. I am deeply ashamed of the Colorado liberal Supreme Court for putting politics ahead of the Constitution. Their entire case is built off of lies and personal vendettas. The people celebrating this move have no idea just how dangerous this is for our republic.
People celebrating it, the liberals in the state and in the country, really, but also this group called CREW, the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, originally started by two very liberal people, taken over by David Brock. David Brock's history is that he founded Media Matters for America, and Media Matters hates everything on the right, hates me, hates you, hates everyone. And then it was taken over by a guy named David Painter, who's a Bush Republican, calls himself a Bush Republican. This is all a leftist response to Judicial Watch and whatnot. The governor would have to step in and talk to the Supreme Court. Do the Congress people of Colorado and the two senators of Colorado have any influence with the governor to ask them to rethink this before it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court?
All of us do have access to the governor. He's very open to us and accessible to us. So that is something that we could work on actually getting his ear to discuss before it went to the Supreme Court. But nevertheless, I am confident that the Supreme Court would overturn this decision. And maybe that is what's best. So we protect other states that Colorado is trying to influence to do the same thing. In 2020, over 1.3 million Americans voted for President Trump in Colorado, and it's expected to be much more than that in 2024. So to disenfranchise millions of voters, to prevent them from voting for their preferred candidate because of personal hatred or party bias, it's just wrong. It goes against everything that we stand for as Americans. And it also defies common sense, as President Trump will be on the ballot in 49 other states. And he's likely to win most every one of those primaries by a very significant margin. So talking to Governor Jared Polis is an option, but I do think that this will go all the way to the Supreme Court and we will have a decision then. It's sad that we are even talking about this right now in America. To disenfranchise so many millions of people from voting for their candidate is a downright shame.
And I mean, the obvious question is, what happens when Trump gets the nomination? Are you going to play the same game for the general election in the state?
We have seen time and time again that the left, that these extreme liberals stop at nothing. I'm sure that they will try to play as many games as possible to have their way because a free and fair election doesn't get them the results that they want. So they will do anything that they can to try to interfere with the upcoming election. And that is exactly what is happening in Colorado right now.
I'll tell you what, there's no charge of insurrection on any of these court cases in New York and Georgia and in the two in D.C., Jack Smith. None of them are insurrection. So for the fact that your Supreme Court said insurrectionist and pulled him for that, you can almost claim anything for Joe Biden in a state like Texas or Florida or Nebraska or Ohio and do the same thing to him. And then what? I mean, they're making it such a messy process. Final thought, Congresswoman.
Well, yes, just as you're saying about Texas and Florida and all of these other states with Joe Biden, we have an invasion of nearly 10 million people coming into our country from his dereliction of duty. So we can easily make that case there, saying that he should not be on the ballot in Texas because the invasion that his administration is willfully allowing into our country. The left is not afraid to set new precedents, and this is a very extreme precedent to set. I would caution anyone who is celebrating this because this is not the road that we want to go down in America.
Yeah, when they go low, they go even lower on the left. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, thank you for joining us.